Good morning to you, my friends, wherever you may be in the world today. Alan Clements here from planet Earth, outpost Ubud, Bali, Indonesia. I think today is June 9th, 2022. I'm stranded in the universe like you, trying to figure out who I am and what to do and how to do it. I hope this finds you well. Today is the third installment of this new series, the Bali Series. At this time of overwhelm, big topic, the pandemic has wreaked havoc, the bioweapon, can't use that word particularly here on FB. In this time of overwhelm, now what? That's the question that's most pertinent and intimate to my soul. And this subtopic of safeguarding personal peace and spiritual self-defense. Now, let me start with, I don't know about you, but how easy it is to feel misunderstood, despite putting on your best, I want to say, performance at your so-called rendition of being true to yourself. I'm sure President Biden, Xi Jinping, Klaus Schwab from the Davos Global Elites, Bill Gates, Nancy Pelosi, God herself, all feel that they're being radically true to themselves. And it begs the deeper question, what does true mean? And how do we determine self-truth along the intimate lines of morality, integrity, dignity, conditioning? And who has the true stethoscope, the existential microscope, to determine the truth of truth? This brings up the issue of insight versus knowledge and wisdom. And it begs the question versus traditional understanding versus the language that I am using, the Dharma. A trust in an intrinsic lawfulness, if you will, with this embeddedness that we are inseparable from, called life, the ecosystem, the existential ecosystem, the photonic ecosystem, superstring, trans-superstring, galactic time, relativity of time, all the various ways in which the architecture of physics intersect with psychology and psyche and earth and minerals and children and babies and birth and death and tsunamis and totalitarianism and fighting the good fight, right? So many ways to talk about the literature of the heart made real on the promise of true, being true to yourself. I mean, I can't get over that as the vocation of being, the religion of the soul that transcends everyone's God. What does it mean to really make good on the promise of your own vocation? That vocation, you know, for me, being a mixture of conscience, discerning right from wrong, good from bad, the beneficial from the detrimental. The song from the Iron Club. You know, so many ways to look at being true, conscience and dignity and integrity and kindness and grace and courage and morality and patience and equanimity, compassion. If the world only was lit up for a couple of days by compassion, how can we bring that radiant, trans, existential quality into the heart of all of us? Isn't that the question of the day? how to bring these timeless qualities immediately, not through time and effort and meditation. Yes, 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 that time was then, but we're in a time of now. The reinvention of immediacy. We can't wait. The tsunami of evil and struggle is so present. It's building momentum by the second. It's obvious the world is getting more dangerous by the minute. So the immediacy of bringing compassion and wisdom and kindness and love to the forefront of all beings, that's my quest here in my own personal way. And how easy it is to be misunderstood, to be seen for something that you're not, to live in the persona of a presence that's not authentic to the identity of your own being. The chasm, the gap between a presence, a persona, and the reality of the heart, the double life, the quadruple life, the traumatized narcissist, the sociopath, the woman, the man, the insect without conscience. Is redemption really a possibility with all of us, with everyone? Can the archetypal serial killer, the genocidal maniac, crossing all dimensions and quadrants right now with extinction deep in his in-breath and her out-breath, can there be redemption for the archetypal Satan embedded everywhere in all ways, disguised as the goddess? It's just over the top to think of contemplating the possibility of these really epic considerations. Here we are in the precipice of what seems to be the anthropocentric extinction. Many of us know from our own research from environmentalists that some even say that it's irreversible, irreversible. And each of us cling like on the side of an avalanche to the hope embedded on conditioning. But what's real? What's really real? Does my daughter have hope? Do her potential children have hope? What world are we bringing the kids into? And I think, how easy it is to be misunderstood, vilified, betrayed, Judified. I think of my friend Aung San Suu Kyi, alone in an undisclosed location, i.e. a prison cell in her native country of Myanmar. How universally vilified she was, orchestrated by the corporate media, owned and profited by the CCP of China, big pharma, the medical industrial complex, the running dogs of lies and propaganda. Many of us have seen through that, those of us who have really studied the circumstances in its intimacy from the get-go. I'm even here hesitant to use the language of my truth, not for fear of being reprimanded digitally, put into the digital gulag by those overlords who no longer want to participate in freedom of expression, freedom of truth, the algorithms of denigration to our Constitution that are inherent in the digital media. I recently reached out to Aung San Suu Kyi's lawyers that were brought forth by her family, who were petitioning some I never even heard of it, some committee connected to the United Nations to confront the injustice of what they've called judicial kidnapping of Aung San Suu Kyi, the elected state councilor, the de facto president, the unanimous heart leader of her country's democratic struggle for freedom and justice and peace and unity and rule of law. And yet, there she is alone, universally vilified, the icon gone into the complicit bitch of genocide with the military industrial evil of our own country. Sold out, thrown under the bus repeatedly by those who refuse to truly participate in the deep look into the truth of a situation. And her lawyers told me that she's likely to die in prison. That's the game plan of the regime, the Orwellian evil terrorist group of Burma known as MASAC, Ming Online, MAH, SAC, the State Administration Council. It's the synonym for Burma's Khmer Rouge. Ming Online, the former general of the military, he's an equivalent of a Pol Pot in Burma, a neighboring country. I bring this up because how easy it is to be misunderstood. And within it, for whatever reason, the karma, the conditioning, the propaganda, to vilify, to denigrate, to cancel, to shame, to mock, to ridicule, to denigrate, this toxic, I don't know how other ways to put it, this toxic, radically malignant patriarchy. Truth hurts. People don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to participate in the truth. And when it comes so close to home as family, as the people of Myanmar, my most beloved friends and teachers and mentors, all from the country of Myanmar, Burma, it's a heartbreak. There's no other way to put it. It's an unthinkable heartbreak. And to try to understand it on the level of the Dharma, safeguarding personal peace, the art of spiritual self-defense, how do you juxtapose these invenerating psychopathologies? And I'm going to dive into it in my film Raw War. I'm writing it full time right now. What are the attributes, the characteristics of toxic patriarchy? And how have we been blinded by ingesting, oxygenating, allowing the transfusion of this malignant blood to be put into our own ecosystem, our own biological presence, and we operate as running dogs in the same river as this evil. It's like, if it's not a fight for good and evil, the battle of good and evil, what is it? And so I'm on the side of rising up right now. I've got my own personal challenges, you do too, but there's a greater context here, and I'm fighting for the greater good. And as I come to the end of this little rant, I don't know how else to contain my elegant rage, my outrage, my sacred outrage, to quote the great late Dr. Martin Luther King. And even though it gets dark out, as he said, it's only then do you see the stars. I want to keep my eyes on the luminosity of the stars, not a star. And what are the constellation of lights in the darkness? And connect those lights through the photonic psychology of intimate awakened Dharma. I do believe in redemption because I've done wrong. I've made good on the promise of my mistakes to the best of my ability. I'm going to still make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. And so we do have to believe in this archetypal mother in us that says, hey, listen, you've gone wrong, Klaus Schwab. You've gone wrong, President Biden. You've gone wrong, Donald Trump. You've gone wrong, Justin Trudeau. You've gone wrong, Nancy Pelosi. You've gone wrong, Mitch Schumer. You've gone wrong, Xi Jinping. And there is a rightness in one's own mind. And how to moisten that like the archetypal mother and awaken the seeds of virtue and loyalty and radiance and intimacy to overcome this existential trauma that's embedded like an exploding psychic bomb in eternity in all ways. And here we have to coexist with this innate dukkha or trauma. That if you just let your psychic guard down for a moment, the next thing you know, you're co-opted by fear, greed, shame, and you're calling it truth, freedom, and love. Study the psychology of Adolf Hitler. Study the psychology of all these Stalinistic, fascist men and women, and they believed that eugenics were absolutely the religion of the time to purify the human race, the galaxy of aberrant biological beauty. Is eugenics at the core of what's going down right now in the world? Is that the essence, soul of the global elites in this so-called orchestrated? Could it really be an orchestrated kill-off? It's just hard to imagine. And yet, I've studied genocide, I've studied war, I've been in war zones a few times, not as a combatant. I never really risked that much. I was always pretty well protected. But there were those few little forays out into Triple Canada Beach jungles where there was, you know, the occasional firefight. I've been up close in my own humble way. And violence is wrong. Evil is wrong. And when you see what munitions and ordnance and guns and bullets do, you contract in conscience and refuse to participate in killing in my name, vilifying in my name. I wish all the monks and nuns around the world would march to Naypyidaw and surround that capital city where one of the greatest evil terrorist organizations abide right now, Ming Online's mansion in Naypyidaw, the capital of Burma, and stand vigil in prayer, in loving kindness, and sending metta to those men and women and children and Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, the 13,000 prisoners of conscience who were there on all of our behalf, standing up to evil and the power of nonviolent, radical, creative protest. Prisoners of conscience that are saying love is more important than fear. How easy it is to be misunderstood, to live in the collusion of ordinary and comfort. I was going to speak about basic sanity today, and so let this be a prelude, if you will, to the meaning of that in my own basic life is to, you know, I'm telling myself here in this present, Alan, have more and more of the courage to feel, truly. It's okay. Evoke your own archetypal feminine inside of you and allow for the sacredness of the tear. Sometimes you don't know what to do, where to go, how to say it. It's okay to be inarticulate. It's okay to be awkward. It's okay to be just unsure of yourself. And keep on feeling. If I had a cry out today, I would just beg, scream for the elites in the world, those in pompous power, to put down their wine, to come down off their pedestals, to come down off their trillionaires and billionaires and the fentanyl of wealth. And can we just like take one big long hour to just chill on the landscape of now and ask ourselves, what don't I know about myself? Where am I in denial? Where am I in self-deception? Where am I in ignorance? And make consciousness primary. The discovery of the intimate aspects of consciousness is primary over the toxic certainty of a conditioning that makes enemy out of other. So, call it the practice of freedom and the art of feeling. So, from my heart to yours, thank you for being in my life today. Back to my own challenging way to keep writing this 7-part film series called Raw War. And a final note, I've announced as of a couple of days now, I'm holding a sacred retreat. They're all sacred, but this is a very sacred period, God willing. I make it there, and you too, here on the island of Bali at a Buddhist temple, set in deep nature, July 25th to the 31st, for 15 people. Message me if you're interested. It's residential, 2 vegetarian meals a day to occupy nature, to feel, to sit. I'll hold space, guide in a humble way, to reflect, to do yoga, to bathe, to eat, to cry, to feel, to create sacred space together in this great ambient eternity that we're embedded. It's also temporary, to state the obvious, but so easily overlooked. So if you're interested, please reach out. We have 5 people already registered and a number of others who really are wanting to come. And I can't explain the requirements of the government of the island. You'll have to do all your own checking to look at the various ways to participate. And if you wish to come, please do. So from my heart to yours, thank you for tuning in to this series from Bali at 9:30 in the morning, most every day, hopefully every day. Thank you.